I gotta get back to the page. God damn it, what is wrong with you, Google? Get that right. That's the YouTube link. Oh, look, it's me. That is crazy. So anybody, if you want to join in, that's just great. You guys can just click the link in the Facebook group and we can get started. It's a bit slow start, but we're gonna get there. Just need at least one more person on, and we can start the discussion on the topics that we have. Oh man. I'm gonna have to edit a lot of this out, but that's no problem. Okay. So, is there anybody here yet? Oh, there was one person and then they left. Okay, lovely. Well, this is what you get when you plan an event and there is literally you just do it wrong. You just plan everything wrong. But the point of this was to have a discussion. Like last time, we had a discussion, but this time I think I'm just gonna start off and just if anybody is watching at all, then we will we will just start. Right. So exactly what is branding in neuroscience? Well, branding, I mean, neuroscience has a very particular importance in branding, and it's a very underrated part in branding because there's a part in branding called sense, and that's where all the five senses come from, like touch, feeling, visual. You know, usually graphic design only focuses on the visual and nothing else. Oh, someone has joined the chat. Hello, Jake. What's up? I don't know if you can hear me or not because I can't hear you, but welcome anyway. So yeah, So we have the five senses, and these five senses are important to branding because it's all about an experience in branding. So you need the touch, you need the feel, you need the sense, you need the visual, you need everything, you know. So, but sometimes we only focus on the visual part as graphic designers. And the problem is with that is that we don't really see exactly, you know, we don't really create an experience. We only take one sense into consideration, and that's visual. And although visual uh, is one of the most important senses, it's not as important as other senses. Uh, so yeah. But the thing is with branding and neuroscience is that we need to first look at the psychology of the brain. And the psychology of the brain is that the brain is basically a pattern recognition machine. That's all it does. It goes and it looks for patterns. So this is the beauty of the brain because it can basically adapt to any situation and create patterns to so you can function and you can survive in that area, you know. So like but that can also be like a good and a bad thing. So like a good thing is of being a pattern recognition machine is that, you know, you 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 have neuroplasticity. You can adapt to different situations, you know, emotionally and physically. And you can uh, but you can also be tricked or fooled sometimes by your own brain, and that could lead you to think things are going to happen, and then they don't happen. And when they don't happen, you know, you're either, you know, confused because you're like, well, I was sure I knew that was going to happen, you know, but it didn't. So like an example of that would be like you're in the grass, I don't know, you see like a long stick like object, and then after that, after you see a stick like object, your brain immediately comes up with the idea that that's that's a snake. Before any information comes in, you think that's a snake, but it's not a snake. You think that, and the brain in seconds goes into fight or flight reflexes. Uh, yeah, flight or flight reflexes. So immediately it thinks that, but that's not how it's supposed to be. It was just a stick, and you got fooled because your brain was thinking about patterns. It was thinking long object equals snake, you know, or it could have been that you were in an environment, you know, contextually, you could have been in an environment that also would have made the brain predicted that you were in danger as well, but you probably weren't. So that's another thing. It's also why magicians are able to trick our brain, because when we see with our brain, we're not actually seeing. We are assuming, we're interpreting our perception, we are interpreting the future because our past experiences dictate what's going to happen. Oh, I know that's going to happen, so and so is going to happen because I experienced that. So your brain keeps that and believes that that is going to happen again. And it might, or it might not. We don't really know. But usually it's wrong because life is so chaotic that your brain, your uh, your pattern recognition machine isn't accounting for the unexpected. It's another reason why you don't think that, you know, that uncertain things are going to be terrible. You know, like for example, like right now, you know, having literally no idea of what I'm doing, you know, just rambling on about branding and neuroscience, you know, trying to make this thing happen. I'm expecting something, you know. But the thing is that you have to realize that sometimes your brain doesn't know exactly what it's doing because it's not actually seeing, it's predicting. All right. So that's one thing that we have to keep in mind with branding and neuroscience, because if branding is pattern recognition. Hello, what's up? Okay, you left. All right. All right. Anyway, so what I was saying about, yeah, branding and neuroscience. So with that is that, you know, uh, yeah, pattern recognition machine. That's basically what I said. So then we move on to how do the senses help create experiences and then influence the perception of the pattern recognition machine. All right. So we then understand what memory is, because memory is crucial for people, for branding, because you want people to remember you. You want people to remember you. You want people to buy what you are, uh, you're selling. You know, that's what you want to do. But the thing is that to sell to a person, you need to reach more than a logical aspect of a person. You need to reach their inner core, their senses. So that's where memory comes in, because memory is connected to the senses. Um, for example, maybe a fresh cup of coffee reminds you of an early morning that you were, looking out at the beach or something like that. You know, it could remind you of that, because the smell is able to, create that connection in your neurons to your brain, that you that you get the idea that, oh wow, this takes me back to a place. It takes you back to that feeling. It takes you back to that, memory. And then if it takes you back to that memory, especially a good memory, you know who wouldn't want, their product to be associated with a good memory? you know it's very important, that, so like, and sometimes products can be associated with bad memories, bad smells. You have to take that into account. Like, does your product smell bad? Does the place where where the service is, where the, like, let's say a salon, does it smell bad? Does the hotel smell bad? you know because obviously you don't want to stay in a place that smells bad. You want to stay in a place that, smells good, right? But more importantly than that, it's about connecting to that memory, you know a good memory, the sense to a good memory, you know and then being able to then get people to come back to that place, because they want to experience that memory again. They want to experience what that memory has to offer to them. And you can't just do that visually. You have to do that with smell. So a lot of, uh, companies and brands, they're figuring out that that smell is a very important part of branding. So like car companies, I think BMW was trying to work with a perfume company to try to make a hello there. Yeah, I can't hear you, but
Hello.
all right. Nice to see you, Isikia.
How you
What's
good?
up?
How you doing, man?
Yeah, I can't hear you. So
You
just type
can't.
in the chat. But yeah, continuing on with that. So yeah, so car companies are kicking into the trend. They're doing great about, like, that certain thing with perfumes and making their cars smell good, you know, not, and smell a certain way, so people, when they enter them, you know, uh, they don't like they feel something different, when they get in there, and that helps them buy the car subconsciously. This may seem, weird to you guys, but it's kind of important to understand that, we don't just rely on one sense, we rely on many senses. So just keep that in mind. If any of this sounds, out there, and it doesn't sound, oh, it's gobbledygook about neuroscience or whatever, but it's important. It's very important, especially once, like, I'm sure most of you guys are freelancers, but if you're going to ever own your agency, or you're going to ever own your own business, uh, you would have to, uh, understand that there are different parts in that place, I mean, in your agency, that you could offer different services for. You don't just need to offer a visual identity with a logo, I mean, that's stock. You can do that. That's fine. You can offer a website too, with the experience, that's fine. But there's so much more you could offer, you know. Audit and even now, this is a good segue. We go into auditory, auditory branding. United Airlines has a certain sound. Every time you go on United Airlines, they have that sound. They own that sound. Skype, for example, owns a sound. You know, you can take away the logo of Skype, and if you just hear the sound of Skype, boop, 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 you know, that one. If you just hear that one, if you just hear that sound, then you'll be able to understand. You will be able to know that that is Skype. You don't even need the logo. That's amazing to me. You know that there are other senses that tap into a brand's recognition, into a brand's identity, and that's incredibly important. So yeah, so audio is important, very important. We talked about smell, because smell takes you back into your memories. What else? Feeling, 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 and space. There are different ways to make up. This is definitely more into customer service than anything else. But how are you going to make the space of a person feel? Like, we all have our certain comfort zones or comfort areas or whatever. If someone gets too close, we kind of get uh, kind of uneasy. And if we don't like a person, we probably move away. You're in my personal space. But there's no such thing as like personal space. It's just this thing we come up with and say this is our personal space, because we want that space. We want something that we can have a controlled place where we don't need to interact with anybody. Okay. Okay, that's fine, Asika. Good on you. You check that mic. Anyway, yeah. So that's the thing with space. So Singapore Airlines does a really interesting thing. Many airlines don't take this into account, but this is also good customer service. If you know. So Singapore Airlines, instead of every airline does this. They go up to you if you're in your seat, and they say, they go up to you, and then they ask you, and then you have to look up to them, and then you have to talk to them that way. Okay, that's fine, right? I can do that. You know, it's okay. It's normal, right? But then you have Singapore Airlines. This is a different thing. They come, but then they talk to you. But they talk to you, and they're close to your face. You know, it's very personal. It's like, I am here for you, instead of, let me just get this over with, or what do you want? It's more, I'm here for you. If you get closer, it's more intimate, it's more personal. you know so you can gain a better connection with your audience while they're in your service. But like in airlines like that, you think, wow, that flight attendant was really, really helpful. you know but it wasn't because she was helpful. She was probably doing the same thing as everybody else. She just changed a slight thing in her body language by going a bit closer to your face, by being a bit more intimate, by being a bit more personal, by being there for you. And that's important, you know because many companies are always in this notion of, we love our customers, we want the target audience to feel this way, whatever. But there's so much more than just saying that and then actually doing it, applying it to the customer service, applying it to the senses, understanding what the smells they like, what services, what type of body language do they like, you know. Very interesting, very interesting. So keep that in mind. Obviously, as a graphic designer, you know, it's very hard to understand this because there's a lot of other things involved in that are not graphic design, but it's important to at least have a basic understanding of these senses. So that is feeling and touch. I mean, feeling and what is it, and space, feeling and space. uh the next one that's very important is what is it, smell, audio, yeah, sound, exactly, yeah, sound is really important. Okay, there is a German company that tried to figure out what was the best way a cookie will sound like in to the consumer when they bite into it. Like, think about that. Think about how how deep a person had to go, or a scientist had to go, to figure out the perfect sound just to please a customer. You know, like, of course taste is important, but then we sound is as much as important as anything. We like the crunching of things, we like, the sound of things. Music makes us feel, good, and this is like what I said about Skype's thing, but even more personal, because then you add taste into the equation. You put taste into sound, and you combine those two together, you know. So obviously you're not always gonna, have a scientist who's gonna, find a way to make the cookie taste the best. I'm not sound the best way possible. Obviously that's hardly impossible, but you can always think about what the sounds are, in the space or in the service that you're doing the design for. If you're doing for a restaurant business, like like the food, like let's say it's like Italian food, like you're going to match the environment, the food with the environment, and say, okay, maybe we're going to use, some calming music, maybe some very, jazzy music, something like that, instead of, we're not going to play hard rock. you know it could work. I don't know, hard rock Italian restaurants. I don't know, but yeah, it's very important to understand that. Uh, that is basically neuroscience, a bit about neuroscience in branding. And you can think about, the psychology now, and you can the brain psychology now. You can think about neuroscience, in a different way, instead of this, thing that is just, oh, it's so, I don't understand it. you know I'm gonna leave the book that I read about and I explained to in the link below. And hello, Nathan, what's up? I can't hear any of you. Like, that's great.
All right, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, no, I can't hear anybody, but it seems like you guys can hear me, so that's good, I guess. Let me just find a way with this mic. Uh, let me fix this mic problem. Probably is my mic, because, or my speakers, because I can't hear you guys. Brand.
Hey, Nate, can you hear me? Hello?
Mhm. Right. Yeah, it probably is my speaker. Huh. Definitely is my speaker.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, nothing. Uh, man, this is a bummer. I really wanted to.
Wait, say something, Nate.
I would have to end the broadcast because this thing is. I really can't hear you guys. Uh, that's
Hello.
terrible.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I think I heard you guys.
can
Hello?
you, hello?
Okay, I heard you.
All right.
All right, Asika. Hey, so what do you think of this so far? Like, what do you
Well,
think of the whole branding neuroscience thing?
it's actually interesting to me, right?
Yeah.
Because like it really kind of touches on something that I've always been curious about, which
Mm-hmm.
has mainly been sort of that subliminal essence when it comes to branding.
Right.
Because when you're on the graphic design side, you don't consider things like sound or smell, or you don't really consider like the way those play into the overall brand.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like it's like I see with a lot of designers, right? They sort of transcend into this realm where it's sort of like I guess I think the right term for it is like a brand consultant. So
Right.
now they're telling like they're sampling the products from their clients and they're saying, this is interesting. It's actually interesting. Like when you brought up the whole sound aspect, I
Yeah.
noticed I thought of this first thing I thought of was McDonald's and how they have
Farafata. Yeah.
and it's how you sort of like even if it's just remixed or it's done on a different instrument, you can kind of tell that that's McDonald's.
Yeah.
Or another thing is another way you can see it is like with smell. Like I'd
Yeah.
say you can use Axe or you could use Burger King for example.
Right. Yeah.
The way the food smells, the way the spray smells, it
Yeah.
has that characteristic element to it. And I guess on the designer side, getting more in tune with those other side S's, those other side, well, those
Yeah.
other senses can give you a better grip in terms
Yeah.
of crafting the
Because like
visual.
our yeah, exactly. Our experience isn't just visual. We do just mostly the most strongest thing is visual, but it's not the most important thing. Everything forms our perception of reality. You know, when you touch something, you actually feel, something, and it's there. If you're just looking at it, it might as well not exist. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, but like it makes sense in a way. Like, what did you think of like the brain's a pattern recognition machine? Like, you get that, right? Like, that makes complete sense.
the brains of was that earlier?
Yeah, that was the first one. Yeah, when I was
I
talking
think
about. Yeah, I don't think you were here, but I was talking about like how the brain is a pattern recognition machine. Uh, when you see let's say a stick on the ground, and your brain immediately gets into like fight or flight mode because you think it's a snake, you know, and then
Yeah.
you start almost running away without even fully processing all the information around you. Your just brain just snaps into a state of mind immediately, fight or flight. But you realize after you've gathered all this information, way after the brain has like predicted the thing, that your brain was completely wrong, and it was just a stick. Like, oh, it's just a stick, you know. But your brain thought it was a snake because it's had that association, before.
I see
So
what you mean.
yeah,
So
yeah,
in a sense, it'd be kind of like, I don't know, let's say you're with a bank or something, and they give you this pretty high maintenance fee or this high service fee, but in the end of it, you get all these sort of benefits on the plus side. So it's like you can save on different, like, let's say you got to pay for certain things or just different things, like there's bonuses that come with it. It might get,
right.
if I catch a drift right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Good point. Yeah. So it's very. It's. When I read this book, I put the book in the chat so you guys can look at it and read it. It's really good book. It's where mostly I've like gotten my information from neuroscience, some other sources, but mainly this book was the one that, was like, wow, that really makes sense now, you know. Pun not intended, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we had two topics on for discussion, which was first was branding and neuroscience. But the next topic I was going to discuss was setting client expectations, because the problem we all have with clients is that they come in and they think they know what they want, and we try our best to diagnose their problem, uh, and sometimes we just go with the brief and then we make something for them. But I think that's the worst way to actually solve a client's problem. You need to
Yeah.
actually understand their actual problems. Why do people come to you to graphic design or visual design or whatever you do is to solve, usually, and for graphic design it's a business problem. you know their website isn't working well, and it's not bringing enough customers in. That's a business problem. It's not like a reskinning problem. It's not about, just making it pretty, So you have to take that into account. It's when the client gives you a brief, you should be kind of worried that the client is giving you a brief, because you're not going to you will see most of the time with client briefs is that they're very vague, and they
Uh,
don't actually understand their own problem because they're so close to it, right? They're so close to their own industry. They don't realize their problem. But when you, the designer, come in, your most valuable asset in being a designer is to actually be able to create, I mean, to point out the elephant in the room, because all the stakeholders at the meeting are touching the elephant. They're all saying, this is a tail, this is a trunk, you know, but they're not seeing the whole elephant. You are taking bits and pieces of that information, and then after that you say that's an elephant, and then they're like, yes, that is. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. Like
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
like I had a
yeah,
situation
yeah.
happen recently where I had a client, and basically the whole thing was they gave me a really vague kind of brief to what they wanted,
Mm-hmm.
because it was basically like a hair salon sort of thing. But
Hair salon.
basically the whole what the brief came down to was, she said they said I want like a cute girl, but I also want sort of some sort of custom type. It was kind of like specific. Basically, it was like I would like for the first three letters to be kind of regular looking, and then
Right.
I want something special for the last two. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm looking at this, and I'm trying the whole time. I'm struggling to get a grasp of what it is they want,
Right.
because they're just sending me all these different images and stuff.
Right.
And then, so basically, my mind's boggled as to what they want. And what it's basically setting me up to, right, is because basically my struggle was I almost seemed like they wanted something more detailed than what a because it was a logo project, but
Hmm.
they wanted something more detailed than what a logo should be.
Right, right.
Because all they sent me really was basically like these vector illustrations. You see them a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
see
those.
those.
Yeah, but it basically was like that. And the thing was, I was trying to kind of keep them in tune with what I was saying, but in that same time, they were sort of like,
Right.
well, it's not what I want. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing, like, and again with client expectations, you go into a meeting, the first meeting is incredibly important with clients because that's where you set their expectations. You lay down the scope of the project immediately. You talk to them about their problems, ask them if they've had any bad experiences beforehand, because that's important, because designing with a client, you designer and the client, that's a partnership. That's important. You need to keep that relationship good so you can have a successful result in the end. It's a give it's a it's a joint effort. It's not just you should go out after they give you the brief and go design and then come back and then they don't like it. It's a joint effort. So the first meeting is important. You immediately say, that we there's a design process. you know I need your full cooperation. Be completely transparent with them. Be focused on the scope of the work. After you've understood their problems, you're like, okay, I understand your problems. You need a website. But if they're like, oh, because they have shiny object syndrome, sometimes they're like, oh,
Yeah,
I need that, I saw my competitor use that, I saw this use that. But that's not your solution, though. That's your competitor's solution. That's your competitor's thing. But that's not your problem. Your problem is your problem. So is that feature that you want to add on the site, important to solving that business goal? It all comes down to, is that going to solve that business goal? And if you say that enough times, to them,
yeah,
they're like, yeah, I get that, because it's not about aesthetics anymore. It's not about making shiny things anymore. It's about solving a problem. And that's design, really. Design is solving a problem, you
and
know?
that's something I learned when like the more I go along with learning design and studying into it more, is it's more problem solving than anything. Like if
Right.
it's coming up with a logo or a flyer, like even now when I'm designing a logo or someone says, I'm thinking ahead, like, well, what kind of service do you offer? Because naturally the logo's gonna fuel into what's gonna be for your promotional flyers or your
Hmm.
website,
Right.
the
Yeah.
overall feel of your brand. So I'm always taking that into consideration. That's
Right.
why that's why when I get a brief, I'm trying to start now to where I'm getting as much information as I can, then I'm setting up a mood board, then I'm discussing with them over the mood board just to
That's
make sh-
great. Yeah.
just to make sure like this is what you want. Because the thing is, like, the only thing I see is like you don't want to have a bad relationship with your clients basically, but you also don't want to just give them what they want and it's not necessarily what they need, if you catch my drift. So it's like, let's say you do this super detailed illustration, then they say they want it as a logo, but it doesn't work as a logo because it's so detailed to be like it's.
Exactly.
And I guess that's part of the whole communication, even if that means you lose out on some money or you lose out on that gig, because in the end you can't just send out a bad product just in the sense of getting a paid basically.
Right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. Hey, Nathan, what's up?
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes. Wow.
Ah,
You
I found
you,
it.
you
I did
found it.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to restart my computer.
Yeah. I know. I had to do that one time too. So yeah, you're talking about client expectations, setting client expectations, basically.
All right. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to talk about an experience you like were able to like set the client expectations, and then the project went smoothly because you did that.
I have experiences of when I haven't done that, and then it definitely hasn't gone as
Okay.
smooth.
All right.
Yeah, I think everyone, especially like in the graphic design space, because most of the time when you're entering the market, you're targeting, I mean, those lower budget clients, because you need more like social proof, so you need to get clients under your belt, and so you tend to bend and a little bit to their requests, and then 3 months
I
down the
know.
road,
Yeah, it goes.
yeah, it's like, wow. Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, and all of that is solved during the discovery process. Like having like a good discovery process.
Right.
Um, of course, me and you know that from being
Yes,
a
I
part
do.
of other group other groups, So yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, I tell you, sure do a lot of bending in the beginning.
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
talk about.
you got to get your name out there. Like
Yeah,
you got to
yeah.
get your reputation out there. So I mean, and I guess this could segue into another part is like I've heard of inbound marketing. Have you guys heard of inbound marketing? I'm sure Nathan has. Are you
Oh
taking
yeah,
a
for
course
sure.
in the HubSpot course? You
Yes, I
recommended me
have.
that. I was like, yeah, I was. Oh, you already took it?
Yeah, I've been certified for quite a
Oh,
while
you
now.
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I gotta get on that because So is that like is that certification? What does that make you like? Make you a HubSpot expert? Like I don't know what is it.
Well, not necessarily with the software, but it does give you a really good introduction to the methodology of inbound marketing, and it'll give you a good foot or a
Yeah.
leg up on that sort of
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
process. And a lot of it is identifiable with other processes that I've seen, but the particular thing that makes inbound so effective and distinct compared to other ways of marketing is the awareness that the target market is in. They have different kinds of I guess different kinds of ways of entering the market with or marketing something and trying to match that with where the person is in the buying process. So like so say like you just barely discovered a problem, like I don't know, your computer needs fixing, okay? So you need to do some research, and obviously you'll see like local people have done very good with like SEO. You'll of course see that. Then you'll kind of search for content and like, oh, like trying to diagnose it even better, and so really the inbound methodology is trying to get into those points, getting noticed there.
Right, right. So, but it's like inbound marketing is always like it's a more not more passive way. I would say it's a much more what is it, slower, methodical way of getting clients. Whereas cold calling, you go directly to it, and it's something that is over time. So if you do inbound marketing, it's not about expecting a result immediately. It's about planning
Hmm.
ahead, and then attracting an audience through showing your expertise, like through a blog or through a free ebook or whatever it is that you're putting out there.
Right.
So it's not about just going, but and that's the thing. It's not that is sustainable for a company like over a long period of time. So you have to be in there for the long run. Whereas cold
Right.
calling can get you immediate revenue, and that's usually very important for a company that's already, just beginning, So along with inbound marketing and sort of cold calling and networking, you can create, you can get clients, very well, and over time you will grow massively your client base because of inbound marketing, because it's more of like a, I don't know, compound interest. I don't know if that's the right term. You know what I mean?
Well, it's very, yeah, it's very comparable to compound interest, and it's definitely a time
Yeah.
investment, right? I don't know if any of you follow Sean West. I like Sean West. He actually
Yeah,
just put
he's
out
the
a
lettering guy. Yeah, I know
yeah,
him.
he just barely put out a podcast of if you're starting, don't do um, like content marketing, which is a part of inbound marketing. Focus on building relationships and just helping people, just by doing that, and doing it for, he says, like, don't, like, of course, give away your whole service, right? But, make some valuable advice and give it to people, and then you'll begin to establish yourself, as an expert, even when you haven't had very many clients under your belt, And yeah, so it's definitely an investment. Now, if you compare it to cold calling, I don't know have any of you cold called, because I have, and it's definitely not fun.
Just
Yeah,
come out of the
and
blue, and then you're like, why? You like pick up the phone, and then you're breathing really heavily, and then you're like, hello, hello, I need business. That
yeah,
was one of my
like,
first calls, but I leave that. I don't do that as much because I
right,
prefer more networking now than anything.
exactly.
Uh, but cold calls, that
Yeah.
was an experience, I swear. So, well, any cold call stories from you, Nathan? You just like same?
Well, kind of the same thing, but I tried to, like, do a bunch of research on this company.
I see.
And so you just go in prepared, you feel like you know the company, and you go in and you cold call, right? And
Right,
so
yeah.
I was doing that, and the thing that would always get in my way was the gatekeepers, the receptionists, the bureaucracy
Oh,
that's within the
yeah.
establishment. So you're not even getting to the decision maker. So by the time you get there, I mean, it's like 20 minutes into the call. If you're that lucky, that's like 200
Yeah.
calls, later, if you're that lucky. And so that kind of brings me back to inbound, is that, when, yeah, it's definitely like, it's a time investment, and you're not going to see immediate results, but the results that you do see and the clients that you do get are, like, a lot more qualified, right? They're qualified um, clients,
Yes. Yeah.
so they come in already knowing who you are, what you do, the kind of expertise that you do. And so when they come in, you're already positioned yourself to sort of guide the process. As opposed to cold calling, you have to take time to establish yourself already, either within the call or within the few meetings, which can jeopardize, um, especially when you're a beginner and you don't really know how to facilitate a good discovery process. You can
Right.
jeopardize the project or make it go on, longer and longer. And so, not to say that cold calling isn't effective. I've seen people who are, like, masters at it,
I know.
and
Yeah.
just definitely not for me, you know.
No, I know. I know exactly what you mean. It's something really like, because it's almost like you just come out of the blue, and then you're just trying to get someone to business, so it's like you don't have leverage in that situation, you know
Exactly.
or that guy has leverage situation. It's very hard to just work through that all the way through, I find it, at least. I feel like some people, like you said, are very good cold callers, and that's a method that works for them. But I feel like networking and creating relationships is the best way to do it. You bring them in, they trust you, and then you get them as a client. No, that
Yeah.
sounds like an evil plan, but yes, it's basically what it is.
What about you, Asika? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
technically, it's just my name backwards, and
Oh,
Ah,
my real name is just Akis, basically. So I'm in the graphic design group. Now, this inbound marketing, like, I guess I've never heard like the term before. I'm looking at it now, but I didn't know. Like, I guess like there were different methods to doing it. Like, I didn't know like blogs, podcasts, videos, newsletters. I didn't even realize like these were things that were labeled under it. Like, how did you describe cold calling? You said it was basically just going up to a company and saying, "Hey,
yeah, you can either do it in person, which is very interesting. It's very very interesting to just go inside a shop and then ask for business. You know,
because
God, like, yeah, yeah, so many rejections.
that's the
But
thing. I've done it before, and I said, you know, this menu." Like, I tried to be real slick with it, or
okay, all
so I'll
right.
say, this menu or this fine establishment, it looks like it could use a little sprucing up. And I've got like a little mock business card I made in my wallet. and I'm just handing it.
Nice. That's great.
Only thing is, I'm handing it to the waiter and not like management or nothing. I'm saying,
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
looking.
yeah, go ahead.
There've been a few methods I've tried. I think what you're saying, right, is networking is really the best route to go
Yeah,
because
it's basically just meeting people, talking to them, you know, something I don't, enjoy as much, but yeah, I get to enjoy more and more as I actually, get to know the person, you know. So,
Yeah, I've actually seen people get some pretty decent business with actually going in doing something, but in terms of like the actual obtaining of the business, they're actually really direct. Like they're not trying to be slick or anything like that. They're actually just,
right.
you know,
Transparency.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're just like they go in, they know exactly what, they're doing, who they are, and if anything, they can leave them with a business card, and then if they get back to them, good. If not, whatever, the next shop. I've seen some
Right.
people do that, but it's kind of like the same thing. You enter in and you don't have the leverage, and that's crucial, especially now. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why inbound marketing was even coined in turn, is that people are coming to you, because marketing used to be switched. Like the power and the leverage is always with the marketer. I mean, you would just throw money at ad space, you throw money at a billboard, you throw money at whatever,
Yeah.
and it would the question would be just your budget. How much money do you have to throw at something? Commercial, what have you. But now, since the internet has come around, everything has flipped, and we found ways to get past the old sort of marketing tactics. So this the whole reason why inbound marketing, like I said, was coined. It was providing value, and having people come to you, because now the power is with the people, not the marketer.
mm,
Yeah. Exactly. Because, I mean, information is now accessible anywhere, you
Exactly.
know. Just go on Google, type on Google anything you want, and you basically find it, after, of course, searching a lot, maybe do a few more refined search, but you find it. You find the info. It's there.
Oh yeah.
You just got to go looking for it. So yeah, that's mostly why people are they're more a bit more smarter. They're more informed about like brands and their decisions, and you really cannot brands cannot afford to fake it anymore. So when something bad happens, it's shown everywhere. You know, I think there was something about I think Coca-Cola. Uh, I don't know. It was supporting some oil the Olympics, but then it was also supporting I don't know. I forget, but it was something negative, and everybody there, on social media were talking about it. They can't. No brand could hide from that. Because it was constant comments on their page. They can ignore it all they want, but that's their now. The customer has that perception now. You cannot hide under anything anymore. So it's very important. So, and then if you are now on the internet, you can make people's perception of you different now, you know? So
Right.
you have control now. You don't need to go to the gatekeeper, like you said, you
Right.
know, because the client will find you based on their needs, you know? Yeah.
that's true. That's about the whole perception bit. I've been best mark I could use is. Have you heard of the recent Ben and Jerry's thing going on?
Mm-mm.
Oh, is that the black scoops don't matter? Black scoops matter? Is
Yeah,
that is?
yeah, they came out in support of Black Lives Matter, and
Yeah, yeah.
it was like a mixed reactions because on one end you had people saying buy all the Ben and Jerry's, buy it all, and then
Oh
you
my
had
God.
others saying I will never buy from this brand again. Screw
Yeah.
that 347 and a half pint.
Yeah, that's the. I honestly don't think like brands should get involved in politics at all. If
Oh
you
yeah.
know, it's so divisive, and you want customers, you want business. You're gonna take out a majority just because of a political view. That's terrible.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think every brand should just stay neutral, like,
Yeah,
because you're just here to put out your product and expand your market and increase your revenue, so you
yeah.
can.
If you're purely thinking in business and you're not getting emotional about it, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Knowing why your company became why it is, and then promoting that said product. Yeah. So that I think uh, that is. If anybody wants to talk anything more about setting clients' expectations, you know, or anything, or if you want to recap on the neuroscience part, Nathan, would you like that? Would you like to hear about neuroscience once again?
No, I think I got a pretty good overview
Yeah,
from when I was listening, but I
yeah.
do
I
have a question.
post.
Oh,
Yeah, please.
I have a question for you. I mean, I just barely saw that you posted in the group in a graphic design tip lounge
Mhm. Yeah,
that logo that you were doing, and you said it was for a nonprofit, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms, did you use the kind of discovery method that we both kind of know for that project?
That's the thing. I didn't, and that was the real terrible thing about it. I got it as a referral, you
Right.
know, and I hate to admit this, but I did need the money, you know. But so I have to just I know I have to start saying no to these type of projects, but it's very important, for now at least, that I get some money,
Those
you
are
know,
those.
yeah, it's
uh,
I do usually do strategy. It was a referral from someone, in the group, and they were just talking about, like, hey, I really like your logos, could you do that for me, and I did that. So it's gonna finish up soon, and I'll get back to more strategy projects. So yeah.
So, Akis,
Yeah.
what kind of graphic design do you do? Have you niched down into a specific kind of thing? Are you a logo designer? Are you a print
Well,
designer?
really, what I'm trying to establish myself with is more logo and identity, and
Nice,
I'm trying to do a bit more, get more into print.
nice.
But I'm also trying to set time to do is to get more into web, just because I know not everybody's like picking up copies of magazines and everything. And one thing I wish I really took the time to do was to kind of take more time out to learn coding and everything.
Hmm.
So really, but in terms of where I stand or where I'd say my niche would be, it would be logos and print design.
That's awesome. That's actually where I started was the web. My plan was to become a developer because, I thought it was awesome to like code something and then look in the browser and it was there, It's like, oh my gosh, I just created this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But after a little bit I really started falling in love with like the design end of it and then started getting, you hear like user experience being thrown around and everything and you're like, what is this design? And then yeah, I got really into that. So but yeah, as Mario knows, I'm super in the web. So
Yeah, yeah. He's an amazing web designer. Swear to God.
YouTube.
He's
YouTube
yeah.
have Behances.
um,
Uh, I do, but I probably have to update it. It's like all my old work. Still good though, but let me see.
You're not alone, man.
so just a question for everyone and anyone in the graphic designers tips lounge that's going to watch this afterwards. Would any of you like me to create a completely free course on learning how to code, like HTML and CSS, but in the sense of being it taught to graphic designers specifically, like making relations with CSS and how you would sort of, because I know both, right? Like I know, um, it would have been way easier for me to like have a lot of the stuff be compared to like Photoshop and how I would blur something in Photoshop or something like that. So just posing that out there. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, like, there's such a disconnect between the coding language and the design language. I mean, if you're able to connect those two together, that's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
There's still a lot like I don't fully grasp about code. Like, and man, I forgot what it's called, but is it called a rule sheet or a style sheet or
Yeah,
something?
CSS. Yeah.
Basically, it's like I think if I remember correctly, it's the rules set up for the web page. If I'm remembering it right.
Yeah, CSS is the basically where you make decisions on how things are displayed and the kind of styles that you put onto the structure that you've created with your HTML.
Yeah, that would be really helpful because then it's just good way to.
Also, anybody who will be watching this, please, I'm gonna make another poll, and if you have any suggestions at all about what you want to know about design, I have a couple experiences. I'm not an expert, but I'm just here to share what I know, and hopefully it will help you. Expertise. It's like a staircase, a never-ending staircase. But we're all in different parts of the staircase. So if I'm on one part of the staircase and you're here, I can help you here. So that's all I gotta say. So thank you guys for being on here. It was really good hearing from everybody, all different points of views. You know, you know, all the client expectations and branding in neuroscience. And I hope we can do this again sometime.
Awesome. Yeah, we should make this like a weekly thing or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I know, but the thing is, I did one, and then uni started to kick my ass, and then also business as well. I'm a crazy motherfucker. I swear to God. And
Oh
you.
yeah, man. Appreciate you
Yeah,
having me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll do
All
this
right,
again sometime.
definitely.
All
See
right.
you
Bye,
guys.
Nick. Bye,
Bye.
Sika.
Have
Bye.
a good day, you guys.
You too. Bye.